everyone. I'm here today with vegetable journals. I am on a learning curve. This new phone, it's my old phone. I had a problem getting things loud enough. With this, it's too loud. I used to turn up the brightness and the colors, and with this, it's almost too colorful and too bright. But I'm just gonna try to work my way through this. I've made 3 vegetable journals, and I'm going to flip through one of them and just peek inside the others in just a minute. I wanted to mention several things. I guess first of all, I have used pages from a book that I want to share with you guys. It's called In and Out of the Garden by Sarah, I believe it's pronounced Midda, M-I-D-D-A. And I have found, COG has found these books for me on eBay. Many of them came from a used bookstore on eBay called Thrift Books. And many of them we got for $1 or $2. And the pictures, this is an illustrated garden book. The pictures in this book are tiny and beautiful, and the information, these are flower gardens, vegetable gardens, gardeners, just stunning illustrations all the way through. I could literally spend a month cutting the pictures out of this book and sewing them into different tags and ephemera and things, and they're just amazing. They're so beautiful. And so if you're any type of a garden enthusiast, you would probably love getting one or more of these books. And about every month or two, COG goes onto eBay and he grabs me a few more of these. Because I couldn't decide what to cut out or sew into these books, I literally took apart one of the books, and they're all tiny signatures inside, and I took out entire signatures. I found 3 of them throughout here that had a lot to do with vegetable gardens or some aspect of things that I grow in my vegetable garden, and I put a whole signature from this book, a different one, in each of the 3 journals here. So you'll see that as I go through the flip through. So I wanted to share those books with you. Of course, I'm videotaping, so it's going to start raining, because if you've been with me a little while, you know I completely control the weather, and all I need to do to make it rain is to get out something to videotape. So sorry about the shadows. I have all kinds of different artificial lights on, trying to light it up and not cast really bad shadows. Can't make a garden book without at least putting a page from my gnome books. As many of you know, these books are still under copyright, so I can't put them in digis or reproduce them, but I can certainly take a page out of the books and put it in each of the journals. So that's what I'm doing. And rather than try to cut out my favorite part or something, I just put the entire, I chose an entire page, and I'll put one of these in each of the journals. So there will be a gnome page attached. And then I took an owl clip, which is what these funky little paper clips are called in office supplies, owl, O-W-L, and attached a little dragonfly charm onto them to hang off the page. So when I attach the gnomes in, there'll be a little dragonfly dangle with it. I also made an envelope for each of the journals, and I'll put one in each, and I just did the little Tracy Fox curl on the paper clip and attached a charm. And these are seed packets from my garden, and just have a tea-dyed index card in the insert there. And the paper is actually from Graphic 45's Home Sweet Home. And on the back, again, some tea-dyed index cards stuck in the back. So I did one with a cucumber packet. I did one with a sunflower packet. And I did one with a corn seed packet. There's a button on each of the index cards on the front. So that was just a little fun piece of ephemera, and I will attach these in as well. I left them out of the journals because they were all different, and like the gnome pictures, I just wanted to show them to you before I started flipping through. As I always do with junk journals, I made clothespins. I didn't make the clothespins. I took clothespins and I distressed the outsides so they look old and worn. And then with one of them for each journal, I attached one of the tags from the little 6-pack or 4-pack trays of things that I plant in my garden, and just kind of made a neat little clothespin there. So I have one that's basil, one that's lettuce, and another that's tomato. And I'll put one of these in with each of the journals. And I just wanted to mention the actual digital images. I printed far too many, and I'll show you when I'm going through what I did with the extras. But I took a few pages from Vintage Vegetables, a digital set in my Etsy store, Mother Earth's Vegetable Children, which are really fun, and The Vegetable Empire, which are those really funny vegetable animations from, I think they're from 1840. So those are the digital sets that I used. Okay. The journals. The journals are, they're 9 by 6 approximately, with a little more than a 2.25 inch spine. And they're soft covered. They're not hard covered. There's not chipboard in it. So they feel so good. I love this fabric. I've used it before. I think I used it on the gnomes and maybe on another garden set last year. I can't remember which series. This part of the fabric, the off-white part, almost reminds me of linen. And the leaves are like a chenille, a soft, almost fuzzy, I don't know what to call it besides chenille. It was on an upholstery bolt, and when I saw it, I knew I'd be able to use it for so many things. So I think I bought 3 or 4 yards of it, and I just love it. So I've used that fabric on all of these journals. The covers of each of these, the pictures are actually from a panel with a grid and various pictures from, I believe her name is pronounced J. Wecker Frisch. And you can Google that or search it on Etsy and find the fabulous fabric designs she's done. And this was all about sowing the seeds. So it's kind of a play on words with sowing and with the garden. And I just love this. And the one panel that I found, the panels come in different size grids, and these were perfect for covers of junk journals. So this is the cover of one. I've just put 5 buttons down here, and there's burlap and canvas in back of this picture, a little bit of lace, and this is one of those coilless safety pins that don't have the coil on the bottom. And it's easy to get the beads. It has a little dragonfly and ladybug there. And these all have detachable sari silk and lace tassels. And I put the same charm on each of them. It was a fabulous sun and moon charm. A nice big chunky one. And of course, we who keep vegetable gardens know that different things growing and planting and harvesting revolve a great deal around the sun and the moon. So I put that on the tassel. So that is the cover of the first. And here is the second. Sown in Peace planted by peacemakers. And of course, there are peas in the back. And again, with the lace and the buttons and the safety pin. And the same tassel. And this one, I can't tell you how many times I've come over and brushed off the fuzzies and things that were sticking to this antique sewing machine. And that's actually the distressed color that's in the fabric. I was even rolling it with a lint brush. And even though I knew and I had done it and decided that that was in the fabric, I continually go to brush that off because it's just that antique look. But anyways, the last sewing seeds, it says, sown beside the road, sown on the rocky places, sown among the thorns, seed sown on good soil. And the lace and buttons and the safety pin and the tassel. So let me set these aside and we'll take a peek inside each one. So there are 4 signatures, and I've got the muslin tabs on the top and more fabulous sari silk from Victorian Gypsy Girl. I will plop her link to her Etsy shop below the video. And I like how these came out. They're soft covers, and this curve of the spine kind of happened on its own. I didn't plan that. I can't tell you how or why it did that, but it was a really neat effect, and it did it on all of these. I'm going to have to study that a little closer whenever I do something that seems really smart by accident. I would like to be able to do it on purpose as well. The inside covers of both or all 3 of the journals has a Tim Holtz paper, and then it's covered with a cotton collage of words and definitions and snippets of vegetable gardens and different things that come out of it. Just a really neat fabric. One of these days I'm going to do a whole bunch of naked, undecorated journals and have the covers just be in all the pretty black and white fabrics I've found. I'm definitely going to do some with these. I really, really like it. So I want to show you the signature that I took out of the In and Out of the Garden book. I literally just put it on the outside of the second signature of each of the books. So it kind of frames the beginning and end of that second signature. And I didn't have to cut or do any delicate fussy cutting, although I was tempted to. And wow, what a great effect that it has having that in there. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that's there. The beads and charms that are dangling are the same on each of the journals. I've got a little beaded bee here that I made on a head pin and twisted it around and made it into a charm. This is a little coilless safety pin with the butterfly and the wooden beads. Sunflower. This one has a rake. I think the other ones have shovels in them. Another sunshine and a hummingbird. I have lots of birds swooping in and out of my garden. And so that is a peek inside the first one. Here is the second journal. And the same with the fabulous fabric on the front and back. And then the second signature on this one has a different signature. such beautiful illustrations. I could make journals and journals just out of the illustrations that come from this book. Part of it's botanical with the flowers, and part of it is vegetables, and then there's a section on herbs as well. So it's got something for everybody who likes fresh things. So that is a peek inside the second journal. And this is the third journal. I'm going to flip through the whole thing here. The pictures inside from the digis are the same, all but the same, I think, and should give you a good idea of what's in all of them. I want to say a quick word about what I call a business card. Whether or not you sell journals that you make, if you make them for yourself, or you give them to someone in your family or friends, or you think you might sell them down the road, I recommend that everybody, we're paper crafters, so the ultimate paper good that we could make is our signature card, and letting people know who you are, who made the journal they're looking at, how to find you, which might have a website, or in this case I put my Etsy on it. I want to encourage everybody to put something in the journals that they make to identify that it was made by you. So I love these little tea-dyed postcards. Are easy, and I found some stamps with vegetables on them in the graphic 45 Home Sweet Home paper set, and so I just glued a postage stamp on there. And there's the picture. You may have seen me making a joke about the carrot shaking down the scallion, because, you know, he's got his hand out. And he looks angry, and he's got a stick in his hand. I don't know what the picture was supposed to be about. And I thought it was kind of funny, and went with the other pleading carrot picture. She looks like she's making her case. I love that. And this was just a little piece of ephemera of a carrot seed card that came from that graphic 45 set. A lot of stenciling and garden digi stamps throughout. How does my garden grow? In each of the journals, I took one of the tags from my garden, things that I had planted either in my front beds, the flowers or the vegetables, and made them into little charms. So these were literally the sticks that I saved from them, and just cut the bottom and put a little eyelet in them. I printed way too many images, so when I was making the journal, what I do is I put the piles of all the pages of the 4 signatures in a row before I sew them together, and I divide the images out for each of the signatures and everything that's going to go in them. And there were so many extra images that each signature in each of these journals has a paper clip with extra images that are cut out and distressed around the edges, but I never attached them in or stuck them in a pocket. So whoever gets the journals, you'll have extra pictures to do things with, or put into the pockets, or use somewhere else, and you'll see that in each signature as we go. This is one of the cards from the digital index card set of the Vegetable Empire. I think I called it Vegetable Life. So this is scanned and available, these index cards, in my Etsy. And I took the originals and just distributed them throughout these 3 journals. I love this fabric. Again, another black and white garden print of cotton, and I see these, and automatically in the cloth store, in the fabric store, I think that would make a perfect tab for a garden book, and they finally ended up in a garden book. There's several images like this that I took from an old Mary Frances book, which are cute books written, I think, right around the turn of the century for little girls. They're sewing, cooking. This one was gardening. And there was one on vegetable gardens. So you'll see various pages. I put it on with a laser printer before I tea-dyed the pages and made it into a little digi-stamp. The garden is the poor man's apothecary. I love that proverb. And a little bit of Edith Holden in here. It's a little butterfly. Approximate last frost date and the approximate first frost date. Always good to know when you're planting things. And I've tried to put a lot of prompts throughout these vegetable journals that I thought were important for my own journal that I keep for my vegetable garden. So it's a prompt so you can note it and maybe be inspired to expand upon dates when you plant things or the seasons and such. I love this gourd. I put a card in each of the journals I make, letting people know not everybody who buys a journal is familiar with sari silk, how it's spelled, where it comes from, that it sheds, and why it's different colors and so imperfect. And I always put a little note to explain that in my journals. It's a little graphic 45 card. I've sewed pictures throughout, pages rather, with pictures on them from the 2014 Farmer's Almanac. It has so much until you actually dive into one of the modern versions of the almanacs and look to see all the information in it, it's amazing how much the calendars and the traditions in conjunction with the sun and the moon and all sorts of compiled information over the ages can be found in these little compact books. It's really just amazing. I put this here to prompt to keep a log for your garden on what date you plant things, when you fed them or fertilized different sections or different little crops, when you started picking things, notes for next year. So I made little pockets and prompts for places to keep logs for your garden. Little garden friends, that was fun. And I have actually made a second garden digi set on index cards if you're interested. I'll try to get that uploaded into my Etsy just after I post this video, later today at least. And another tea-dyed index card. I have stamps, the vegetable stamps from that graphic 45 Home Sweet Home set. So I love the images. The graphic 45 stamps are always so detailed and leave such detail. And the middle, the dangles for each of the signatures also have those cropped stakes from different things I planted in my garden, just tied onto the strings, onto the dangles. There's the other page from the almanac. What I did was I took the 2 pages of the almanac and I took the top of the page and overlapped them and zigzag stitched right down. And then near the zigzag stitch, I put it right in the fold and just sewed it right into my signature. And that way nothing was really covered up or lost, if you're curious in seeing what those pages said. Another graphic 45 stamp. And some of those vegetable children. again, this is just a little prompt that I had from my own personal vegetable journal. Easy gardening rules. If you have worms, which will fertilize the ground, and ladybugs, which will eat most of the pests that you don't want, and bees and other pollinators attracted, which are easy enough to do with, wait for it, sunflowers, and other flowers in your garden. This is the basis of organic growing, and it's so simple. And I was amazed once I started growing things several years ago how effective all of these natural things are. This is actually another panel from this J. Wicker Frisch design for vegetable gardens, and there's a different one of these inside each journal as well. Another stamped card. It's another page from the Mary Frances book, The Garden People. Oh, that's cute. I didn't even realize I put the shovel charm on the page where the shovel digi was. That's completely an accident. Gardening is cheaper than therapy, and you get tomatoes. I love that. There's a phlox stamp. I love phlox. So do the bees. As a matter of fact, so do the butterflies. Cabbage stamp. The little cauliflower girl. And here's the second signature that has the pages from a signature in the garden book. The writing in the pictures are so small and dainty, just amazing. Okay, second signature, what grows well in the shade? A lot of people don't realize you don't need to have full sun to grow things. You might have a shady patio where you have containers you could grow in, and I've listed a whole bunch of things that grow quite well without a lot of sunlight, a lot of direct sun. And here's another one of these little garden friend collages, and some more extra images that I had cut out and distressed. The best fertilizer is the gardener's shadow. Such simple words of wisdom. There's several pages out of the dictionary. Actually, they call it a dictionary encyclopedia, but it looks more like dictionary pages to me. And I can't tell you, and I'm not going to read it right now to go back, but you can look, and there is either a vegetable or something about a garden on every one of the pages I included. They weren't completely random. I included the apple pie from the Graphic 45 because my apple trees are in my vegetable garden, and it attracts, the apple blossoms attract so many types of bees and things that buzz and pollinate that I didn't even know existed in the early spring. It's wonderful. So I always count apples in with my vegetable gardens, even though it's a fruit. I love this quip as well. The first supermarket supposedly appeared on the American landscape in 1946. That is not very long ago. Until then, where was all the food? Dear folks, the food was in homes, in gardens, local fields and forests. It was near kitchens, near tables, near bedsides. It was in the pantry, the cellar, the backyard. Joel Salatin, he is on YouTube, and he has amazing organic farms and so much wonderful information that he gives out about organic farming and growing food. So if you're interested and you want to, get your vegetable geek on like I enjoy doing, Joel Salatin. And if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. I like that. Some garden tools. These were a few pages of information on vegetable gardens that came out of a very old book. And I thought it just several pages about it. I thought it was so informative that I actually found a way to embed it and print this onto the page before I tea-dyed it. I thought that was wonderful to add to this. Another black and white fabric that went with some of the others on vegetable gardening. And another collaged index card. And I like to have pockets to put tags in, the stakes that came off my trees and my shrubs, not just the little plants that we put in the garden each year, but when I put a new azalea out front or something that, especially something that is a perennial that will last over time, I want to go back and be able to pull it out and know exactly what variety it was and such. So I made a pocket for those. And pockets for how I lay out my garden. I have those in all of my garden journals. You need to know where you planted things last year and the year before so you can rotate your crops and plant different things there the following year. And that avoids and prevents so many problems and helps you to put certain things back into the soil for the next. There's a whole wonderful wealth of information on the internet about rotating crops. So even if you've got a garden, it's good to know how to do the simple version of moving those around. These are pockets for tags that came with other plants. Another little Garden Friends collage. This was the cover illustration for the Vegetable Empire. Ralph Waldo Emerson, what is a weed? A plant whose virtues have never been discovered. Love that picture. Some stamping and some stenciling. Some more great fabric. I think those were eggplants. Gardening is the slowest of the performing arts. I'll tell you what, my tomatoes are not in slow motion this season. They're almost up to my waist, and I just planted them a month ago. It is amazing. Some more Garden Friends. And like I said, I always love sunflowers in my vegetable garden. So in my head, sunflowers, while not a vegetable, they keep the bees around. The bees latch on to the middle of them, and just they get drunk. They just hang there. And at the end of the year, sometimes in order to get the flowers down, to get the seeds out that we save, we literally have to shake the drunk bees off of the flowers, and they're all woozy, just like a party that went way too long. But it is a wonderful way to get the pollinators there. It's a great page from the Mary Frances book. Some more images. I used my farmer's market stencils. It was a big stencil. I found it. I'm pretty sure that it's I found it at Michael's, and it's still there, and it was a large stencil that you would use to paint on the side of a crate, and it said farmer's market, country vegetables, and I could use it in sections all throughout the journals. So I thought that was a great find. Little hummingbird. Tomatoes. I love tomatoes. Tomatoes can be determinate. They bloom once and make tomatoes, and then they're finished for the season, or they can be indeterminate, and you can keep them alive until something kills them or the frost comes. They will grow and make more and more tomatoes. So it's really good to understand the difference and know what you're getting when you pick out your tomatoes if you're going to grow some. Love the thistles. I love that. Old gardeners never die. They just run out of time. In search of my mother's garden, I found my own. Gandhi. To forget how to dig the earth and to tend the soil is to forget ourselves. And I just put garden notes up here. I endlessly have garden notes. Little snippets of things. More of the farmer's market stencil, and some more tags that I used for dangles. A little bee charm. God made rainy days so gardeners could get the housework done. Some more great fabric. And each one of these pieces from this, I guess, yard or two that I bought have different little lessons about things out of the vegetable garden. So I tried to at least get one full thought or one full little lesson on each of these. I put one in each of the journals. No occupation is so delightful to me as the culture of the earth, and no culture comparable to that of the garden. Thomas Jefferson. He was a master gardener. A lot of people don't know that unless they're, a full garden geek. Mustard. I love mustard. Mustard will grow anywhere. It'll make its own seeds and reproduce in 60 days. You can eat the greens. You can eat the old ones, the new ones. You can eat the flowers. It fertilizes the soil. It repels the bugs. It's very nutritious. The seeds have 25% protein, which is really high for a seed. It has medicinal properties. And, it just goes on, and you can plant them in fields. They'll probably grow in your yard if you don't put anything on the grass to kill weeds. And to me, that's just magical. And there's so many varieties. So while it may make a lot of pollen and get us sneezing at different times of the spring and the summer, mustard is one of my favorites to find. Little tomato. Another great page from that old book. Oh, that just cracks me up. Onion's having a good cry. Some more extra images. Some other cute garden fabric that I found. More places to keep notes. More pages from the almanac. Love the corn guy. He may be my favorite picture in the Vegetable Empire illustrations. I don't know why. He's just so tall and serious. So I put an image of corn in there. Some more of that fabulous fabric. Why try to explain miracles to your kids when you can just have them plant a garden? It's just brilliant. And I put in some extra stamps from the Graphic 45 ephemera. And yes, Vicki Leach, there are purple bell peppers. These are purple peppers, purple beauties. I took a snapshot when I was planting these in the garden, and I sent it to Vicki on my phone. And she said, "What do you mean you're planting purple pepper plants?" So that's the marker from those. More collaged pictures from the vegetable empire. I love this guy. I was cutting out these pictures when I was finishing up my Les Mis series of journals, and I had a picture of Jean Valjean, the convict, walking down the road in his old clothes with a stick, and I cut this picture out the same day I had printed it off, and I had them next to each other. And now every time I see this lettuce guy, at least I think he's lettuce, he looks like his head is a head of lettuce. I think, oh, there's Jean Valjean. It's just probably more than you wanted to know. Sorry. And a little sunshine charm. This is a page with the harvest moon. And the last page. A little stamping there. And I love these corn people. Indian corn. And another collaged picture there. So those are my vegetable journals, and I am now going to embark on, I have a whole list of videos to make now that my video camera is back in functioning order here. I am on to filming my next course. I have another swap to finish, and 3 different journal series that I am planning for and doing research and getting digis ready for, and I'm not sure what order they're going to come out in. If you're on my list to reserve a journal and I haven't been in touch with you, I will contact people in the order that you guys contacted me and let you know what the next things are that I'm working on to see if you're interested in that theme, and I will get to you. And I appreciate everyone's patience, especially the people waiting for me to get these vegetable journals done. I really appreciate everybody being so very nice about everything. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back with you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.